welcome to the Book Over, a little book club where we talk about books, especially the ones that give us book hangovers. I'm Sarah, and with me is Megan.
Hey, everybody.
And today we're trying to rein in our fangirls because we are talking to one of our favorite authors, CM Stunich.
Yes. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so much. We're like beyond excited.
Beyond excited. Sarah was not lying when she said we're trying to rein it in. I was like, do I wear this shirt or don't I wear this shirt? Like, how
I love this shirt. I was going to comment on it. Like, I was excited to see that.
Oh, good. I'm glad, because I was like, am I going to come off too crazy? I'm like, no.
This is great. This is perfect. You got to like stroke the author ego every once in a while, right? Like, even the chillest of us need those pets.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Good. Then I feel better about it. Oh gosh.
Okay.
Well, yeah. I know. It's like taking a minute.
Okay. Well, I have to say something.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how to say it. I was just telling Megan this.
Okay.
And this is a good thing. So
okay.
You don't want to like.
All right, we're gonna start this off in an interesting way, right?
Yeah, okay, sorry.
Yeah.
So I basically was just telling her that like regular novel lengths have been ruined for me.
Yeah.
Because if it's like a regular novel, like I'm like, they're novellas for me. Like I'm like, if they're not super thick, I'm like, what is this? I want the full story. I want a CM book. Like it's driving me crazy. Like I'll read a standalone, and if it's just like the normal whatever word count, I'm like, give me more.
I don't know what's wrong with me. I can't write like under 140,000 words anymore. Like I don't know what happened. At some point, there's just some switch got flipped, and now they're all long. I don't know. I
really appreciate it because the journey you're giving us is so in depth that I'm there for it. I'm not just getting an overview of it. Mm-hmm. I'm getting like the whole journey. Like, and it's like, even when it's like a series, like serial killer.
Yeah, the last killer. Yeah.
Like that one, it's like, I remember like at first, like I even said it in the podcast, like I was like, oh my gosh, this is really long. And then I'm like, oh my gosh, I needed it to be this long because now I get their relationship. I get what's going on. I understand everything,
Yeah, like that's the inspiration for that was like, sometimes you just get tired of like in a movie or book or whatever, like their mom dies or something. And they're like, anyways, and you're like, whoa. In real life, like that sticks and that repeats and that comes back on you. And so I just like, even little things in the day-to-day, it's like, oh, my husband didn't make me coffee this morning. Like I am mad all day. Like that happens to people. And so I just wanted like to really dig into that in that series. Like I wanted every single emotion and every single thing that's happening to like fixate on that, like focus on it. That was like the inspiration for that series was minutia, I guess, emotional intensity.
No, it comes across so well. Yeah.
I mean, it's very realistic. It is. I mean, and just the storyline. I watched this Lifetime movie growing up, the milk carton one, and that just always stuck with me. It's so fascinating. I didn't see that coming from a book titled, Stolen, Crushed, Lost Daughter of a Serial Killer. I should have known from the lost daughter part. But like, I mean, but I'm like, there's just so many facets to it, and it just works. It's like, the relationship with Tess, the father. Oh my gosh! And then like each book. It's just
I love Tess. We were just talking, me and my partner were just talking about Tess. It was like, I think she like might be my favorite character I've written, just because like she's got more to her. And like when we were writing that, Amanda was like, we need to hate Tess in book 3. I want to hate her more. And I was like, no. I've got like, I feel like something different's gonna happen. And she was not convinced. I had to really convince her because she's my editor. So I'm glad we were able to pull that off, because she wanted Tess to be like mean the whole time. And I was like, no, there's so much more to her than just being rude, just being horrible, which she is pretty horrible in the first book. So
that talk show, but the way that you've like brought us around to her is like amazing. I can't believe I'm rooting for Tess. I'm liking her and I'm understanding her more. Like it does, it really comes full circle.
It's fun, to play with that, because like sometimes the villains are just one note villains, and so Tess is kind of a villain, but also she's kind of a hero, so that's always entertaining to me. I like to just play with people and like make them kind of gray.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Make them gray. Sorry, I connected a dot there, maybe with your wording. Maybe it's Freudian.
Oh, okay. So yeah, we should say that Megan, I think, have you read all of her books?
Yes.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Okay. I am not there yet.
I have not read. I have not. There's some of the early like Violet Blaze books I haven't read.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Like
that's
more
okay. You can skip the early ones. They just pretend, those didn't exist. People will be like, can you republish Hell Inc? And I'm like, no. I don't nope.
I see that a lot. Like people will come on the group and be like randomly find a book being like, where did this go? And I'm like, I've never even heard of that one. So there's some deep fans there.
There are. I'm always impressed when they find those. But like after a certain point, you feel like, oh, I'm better than this work. And you don't want people to judge you based on that old work. But sometimes I change my mind. Like people begged for Kicked.
Yeah.
So I put that back, and that was healing to reread that because I hadn't read that in years. And then I'm really excited. I'm going to add like an extended epilogue. I feel like the ending was not good, which is why in my head I was thinking that the whole book was garbage, but it was just the ending I don't like. So I'm going to fix that, which is nice. You can always come back and add on to it or change things.
Yeah. Well, I think that's awesome. And I think fans are going to really love that.
Yeah, it needs it. That book needs it.
Well, there's so many of your series that it's just like, I'm so excited that like we get extensions of, like we just got Orientation. I know that Groupie will have an arc later on. I know that Underland will have an arc later on. So was it always your plan with these stories to kind of continue with them later, or do you just get called back to certain projects?
Some of them I like Kings of Underland, especially with the 9 lovers. I was like, I really need more. I feel like she doesn't even really know them all. And so that one I really did. Sometimes I'm just really easily cajoled into it. So if people are like, please more, and I usually will give in. Like I'm pretty soft on that. So that's where Orientation and like Bornstead U. But now I'm really excited for Bornstead U because I feel like my roots are like new adult, like college, like deep angst. And that's kind of been like out for a while. And I'm like, that's what Bornstead U is. It's going to be the typical new adult college angst sort of. And I'm really excited. I don't know that I've read or seen a lot of new in that genre lately. So
no, I definitely haven't, especially not reverse harem. I'm so excited.
No, and I have to, so I'm working on Orientation. I'm on like, I think chapter 6. So I'm not far in it, but I have to say, and Megan said this in a message to me too, is and I'm taking your thing, Megan, I'm sorry. You pointed it out. She pointed it out to me, and like right after she pointed it out, I read something. I was like, she's right. It's so well balanced between the two, the crossover, because like Chuck's story, the tone of Chuck's group, and then the tone of Marnie's group. It's just like, it's so defined, and you're getting like, I'm getting Chuck's feels of like, we're a family, this is how we operate, their whole love story. And then with Marnie's, I'm feeling like, so right now I'm feeling so heartbroken for Marnie because she's just struggling, and she's struggling about her dad, but she's struggling with the guys not getting along. And I'm like I feel like Zaid's kind of seeing it, and maybe even some others, but like I'm like, I need one of them to like, and I know I'm so early in this book, but I'm like, can someone notice that she needs you guys to stop picking on each other, and you guys need to become a unit? Like, but they're not even to that point yet. They're still like, hey, we're gonna date. Like they keep I think that was the last chapter they were commenting on, like, oh, I'm in this until you pick me. Like they're still in that state, and like it's just so well written. Because even I reread Burberry. Because I recently read Chuck's story. So I was like, I'll reread Burberry. And I forgot how good, it's like, it's been so long. I read it when it came out. So I was like, I forgot how good it was. And then like, at first I was like, I think I remember I really liked Zaid. And then I was like, no, Tristan. Oh my gosh, Tristan. And then
Tristan's my favorite. Like, I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to lie about it.
Tristan's your favorite?
Tristan's my favorite.
Mine too.
I love Zaid. There's something about Zaid. There's something about the rock star that just is like romantic, but just like I'm me and isn't like not apologetic about who he is that I love about Zaid. Like, but then I don't know. It's honestly, it's all of them for me, which I don't think was when I first read the book.
A lot of people hate Zach. A lot of people hate Zach.
I hated him. Megan got some messages where I'm like, why is she with them? Why is she forgiving him? And then 10 chapters later, I was like, actually.
You know what? I've reread Burberry. Like, that's one of my comfort rereads. I know bully romance is my comfort reread.
Oh, I love that. I love it.
Right. But it is, especially 2 through 4. And I love the Audible of that. So I'm obsessed with that Audible narration.
Yeah. And I named Marnie, the character, after Marnie, the narrator. Cause like I had known her before from like previous projects. And that's where the name and the spelling came from. A lot of people are like weirded out by the spelling. And I'm like, but this is like a real person. And this is where I got like the inspiration for her name. So Marnie narrated Marnie. So it works out.
I love that. And she created Audio Sorceress, right? Like I love like all of her.
She did. That's all my audiobooks now are done through her because she's so amazing. And like sometimes when you hire narrators, you get a lot of errors. And so it takes a lot of listening. You have to pause, write it down, send it, and have them re-record it. Her and her team, they don't make very many mistakes like at all. So it's amazing.
That's awesome.
Highly recommend her and not just her voice, but her whole company.
I love hearing that. Well, I love the duet narration. Like all your books are just narrated so well. So I'm glad that you're sticking with her.
She's great.
But what was I saying? Oh yeah. So the more I reread, the more I'm like, I don't know if it's me maturing, but Zach has grown on me. Like when I first read it, I was like, oh no, like it's all about. I still love like Tristan and Creed are my main. Well, and Windsor. Oh,
who doesn't like Windsor? Right?
I have to be honest, I forgot about Windsor. I totally forgot about him. I'm sorry. I forgot about him and then I started reading it. I'm like, wait, 5 guys. And then I'm like, who's, and then like as I was rereading, I'm like, oh yeah, I remember him now. But it took me because I was so about Zaid and Tristan the first time around that I think I was like, everyone can go. But that was like early reading career. And I think now like Megan, like we're older times past that now, like as I was rereading, I was like, yeah, Zach's in there, Creed's in there, like Tristan's definitely in there.
I feel like Zach like made the biggest mistake, but he like has been trying to make up for it the whole time. So I like him. I don't know why people hate him, but I guess maybe I have a chance to win them over in Bornstead U, make them come over to Team Zach. But
I think it's working. I think in orientation, I just like someone that's always on her side. And I know Windsor came in kind of that way. But I feel like Zach, I think we all forget because of his past that he's always been on her side since the series started.
Right. And he was like 13 when he messed up versus like the other boys were in high school when they messed up. So even though they didn't mess up as badly, I don't know. That's just my thought on it. But like,
I agree.
I feel like Zaid is better now because if he had not betrayed Marnie in book 1, I mean, I'm allowed to talk spoilers, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. We're gonna put a spoiler warning at the beginning.
Okay, good. Because if Zaid had not betrayed Marnie, he would probably have her all to himself. Like they would have been a couple. Like if he'd stood up for her, you know what I mean? Because she would have picked him and they would have gotten together. But he betrayed her, so he kind of that never again tattoo he has on his neck. Like he can't make a mistake again. But like people are kind of mad at Marnie's boys, but I'm like in real life. If you were trying to make a harem of like, you were trying to have a poly relationship with 5 people who don't like each other, it would be really intense. Like they're not just going to be like, okay, I'm not jealous anymore. This is fine. Like it's going to take a lot of work.
Right.
And that's what I really wanted to focus on. Like, so we're trying to layer Chuck's, happily ever after, and her boys are all besties anyway. They're basically, she's just the 6th member of an already established group. Versus Marnie's having to cobble together like something from scratch. So that was fun. I really enjoyed like the juxtaposition in that series, like between the two. And, like I would get like as I was writing, be like, no, I don't want to write Chuck's chapter. I'm into Marnie, and then I'd start writing Chuck's chapter, and I'd be really into it. Be like, I don't want to go back to Marnie. I want to with Chuck, like go back and forth the whole time.
Oh wow,
that's so funny. Well, it blended so well, the two story, like the having the humor of Chuck's story, having the angst of Marnie's story, and then being able to compare the two, and for her to see, hey, this is a functioning harem, and like this could be us. but like you said, there's like a lot of work to do. So I love that. I love, because so many times it is the friendship group. I love having a harem where they all kind of hate each other.
Yeah,
but they're together.
That's my thing about Scarlet too. That's why I like her harem a lot, because it's like it's not a pre-done preset group. Like I want to see what happens when you have to like pull dudes in from different spots. Like how do we do that? How do we make that happen?
Well, I think it makes it that much sweeter at the end of their story, is, you know, not just her with them, it's the guys figuring out their relationship with each other.
Yeah.
Which I really love, that, like the bromance part.
Me too. Like Widow and Bones, like I'm really into them. And how Ash keeps confiding in Bones, and he's like, what? We're not friends, but okay, just spill your heart out to me, I guess. Like I really, really love that. That's
so brilliant.
Right. Well, I like the like realization, you know, there's like a point in the story where they realize that they are friends. Like something happens and they're like, oh, I miss him. I wish I could go tell him this. Or like, oh, he almost died. I'm really sad. You know, like I love like that, like that part of it too. Like it's just
that's the best.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, Bones is in that. Who's your favorite in Scarlet?
Bones. Yeah.
I feel like it's always I feel like, and is Victor your favorite in Havoc?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, I'm 3 for 3.
Like I almost made Havoc like male female when I first came up with it, because I was so in love with Victor. I really loved Victor, and like there's this song, it's God, who I'll have to look it up, but it was like their theme song, and like I could not stop seeing like Bernadette and Victor in my head. And then I was like, no, I really like these other guys. It's got to be RH, but like I was close to a Victor, you know, male female there for a second.
I can see why you'd be torn, because like and he's such a great character, and I just love their story. But yeah, the other guys are great too.
I would have regretted it if I hadn't done RH for sure, but it almost happened.
Wow.
I mean, most of yours are RH, right? I'm trying to think, besides like there's like
recent years, right?
The most recent ones, because like Stepbrother obviously isn't.
2017, I think, is when Groupie came out, and I had only done male female before that, but I had done a Rockstar series like Hard Rock Roots, and that was male female. I was like, I want to do Rockstars again, but I want it to be different. I'm going to do Polly. I'm just going to do Polly, where she gets with all 5 guys. I don't know what genre this is. And there was like one Facebook group, I think it was RHR, like Reverse Harem Readers, and there were like, you know, 300 people in it. Somebody messaged me and was like, hey, your book's RH, you should join this group. And I was like, RH, what's that? Like, you know, Reverse Harem. I'm like, oh, this is a thing now. And I think there were like 3-4 other series that I was aware of, like CL Stone, what's the other one, Veil Diaries, that I think that was out, but I didn't know what RH was. And then people were excited, and I was like, oh, I can keep writing this. Yes, please. And so I have not written anything but RH since then.
I can't believe
it really well.
Yeah, and that group, I mean, and it's exploded too. I mean, like that group's exploded, RH has exploded. So yeah, I always say like Burberry, when people are looking for like bully romance recommendations, I'm like, this is like OG, like the original Academy bully romance right here.
I think you're right. I think it was one of my, if not my first bully one. And when I read it, I was like, oh, I like this.
Yeah, you tempted it to the dark side.
It does. It sucks you in, and you're like, this is really interesting. They're mean to her, but I like
it. I was like at a beach house with a bunch of other authors, and they were like really into bully romance, but they all wanted to do male female, because there's like the stigma about RH. It's kind of like the same thing with romance in general, but it's like, oh, this is not real writing, or this isn't a real literary career. So like not dragging on them. I'm just saying they were trying to transition to some male female, because they wanted people to respect them more, which I totally understand where they're coming from. Oh, so into bully. And I was like, I don't know, man. And I had like a weird dream. I was like, okay. The dream was, you know, the beginning of Filthy Rich Boys, like that, the prologue part, how it's like the end, but it's at the beginning. And I was like, okay, bully RH, I haven't seen that before. So I was like, I'm going to do bully RH. And that's where that came from. just a random dream at a beach house.
I love that too. You wrote it down, and that's got to be I think that's like the first one where you started with the prologue, right at the beginning.
Yeah, I think that's the first time I did that, and then I started doing it because it's like sometimes when you have a really slow start, you want people to know, like same thing with like Stolen Crush. Like I want you to know, like, this has a very slow start, but we're going to get there, I promise. And some people really hate those. They feel like they give away spoilers, but it's fine to skip them. I'm just trying to give you an idea of what you're in for, so you don't read 160,000 words of Dakota and Tess and Parrish and wondering like, where's the serial killer? Like, I promise it's coming, I swear, you know?
Yeah.
I like that. I like that it gives you a taste of what's to come. Because I prefer a slower start personally. Like that story would not have been the same if we didn't have the build up.
Right.
With both of them.
I was like, you have to know who Parrish is to give a crap about him being kidnapped, which is not a spoiler because it's in the. But okay, we said we could do spoilers. Okay, but yeah, you don't have to. You have to care, or else you're like, who gives a shit about this guy missing? Like,
exactly.
So.
Well, and I also like that with Reverse Harem. I feel like you're into trying different things. Like it wasn't like we didn't instantly get the harem there. Like it really focused on Parrish that first book, and then the second book was more Chasm, and then Max. Like I feel like you will push the boundaries. You're not like trying to fit into that like a box. Maybe it's because you started so early, which I really love.
Yeah, I don't read Reverse Harem at all. So I think that sometimes that's helpful because you don't know what anybody else is doing. So you don't get caught in like a trope or a trend as much. There's no wrong or right way to go, but some people read them as research. They'll be like, I'm writing werewolves, I'm going to read 50 werewolves. That's totally cool. I'm like the opposite. If I'm writing RH werewolves, I don't want werewolves or RH. In fact, I probably want contemporary or something just to keep as far from as possible. I don't know. That's just my method, I guess.
Yeah. Oh, so I think it's working.
Well, that brings me to your method. So like, how do you, when you decide to start writing a book, like how pre-planned is it? Or is it more like it's a dream kind of thing?
It depends on the series for sure.
Well,
like
obvious.
Yeah, definitely. But I'm a pantser first and foremost. So fly by the seat of your pants. I don't really plot or outline, especially not the first couple books. Usually what happens is I'll write a couple of the books in the series, like for Dakota's Lost Daughter of a Serial Killer, like write the first two. Then we went back and we read them and started writing down like plot threads or things that need to be picked up on. Then we'll kind of plot out like the rest of it. Sometimes I don't know. Gray's book we had already like throwaway prints.
Yeah,
I had like decided the whole book when I was still writing Gidget's second book. Oh wow! So that I had like voice messages. Me and my wife voice message back and forth on Facebook. That's our like notes. And so I send like hundreds of voice messages, and I put a note. I'll write like throwaway prints so I can search and find the voice messages in this vast sea of voice messages. And it's a pretty good method unless you accidentally send the voice message to somebody else, like your aunt or your grandfather. And it's like, I think you should have sex with her on top of the car in the next chapter. And then your grandpa's like, excuse me? That's happened a couple of times.
Oops.
Yeah. So
do they know what you write? Or is this just like a complete shock? They're like, what's going on?
They know what I write. Like I got a little scolding from my grandparents for fuck Valentine's Day. He was like, did you really need to put such a vulgar word in the title? And my grandma used to read all my books. Like in the very beginning, I wrote like more YA. And she would read those, but she stopped around. I think Taboo Unchained was what really did it for her. That's like an older standalone of mine. It's a very dark. And she was like, I respect you, but this is not my style. She likes like 80s bodice ripper, like Fabio, type, like the pirate kidnapped the damsel, and that's what she likes. So mine are a little more intense than that sometimes.
But at least she's into some romance, That's
good. She tried. I appreciate it. Like my brothers have tried to read my books. My mom.
Oh wow.
I mean, my mom's been better lately. She's read like quite a few. She does like Filthy Rich Boys. She was really excited about orientation. And my little brother, my 19-year-old brother, he's been reading them all. So
that's so cool.
That's awesome.
I bet he's so proud and probably tells his friends.
Or not.
Yeah, I don't know. Does he tell them or does he keep it hidden? I'm not sure.
Yeah. That's a good question.
He's gonna be, I can't remember his name from Groupie. There's one of the guys that reads romances, and he was like telling the guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's him. That's your brother. Sorry. He's gonna be like, hey, I know, because I read.
That's what you need. He's gonna make a great partner. Like that's what
right. Well, guys are like, sometimes dudes are like, oh, it's this romance novel. I'm like, yeah, but Havoc is gangs and murder and violence, and there's hot sex in it, and also you can get some tips. So like, why are you complaining? This is like right up your alley. Like,
yeah, it's a manual with a great plot. Like,
it's a manual with a great plot. Yes, it is. Oh my goodness. Oh, I love it.
That's like, we're just little things like, why did Marnie do cheerleading? Well, I did cheerleading so I can put that in there,
That makes so much sense. Well, I did some cheerleading too, and it's a sport. People don't, it gets a bad rep. So I like. Yeah.
I tore my meniscus and I had to have surgery on my knee from cheerleading like that. So people are like, oh, really? And I'm like, yes, really. Tumbling, backhand spring, lifting girls up in the air. It's a thing, It
is.
I had a bucket handle meniscus tear. They had to take the whole thing out.
Yeah.
Terrible. I feel it's serious stuff.
That was crazy. I remember doing the dance and I turned to the side, but my foot stuck on the mat and my leg didn't follow the rest of my body. And then it was like this weird thing. I blinked and I was on the ground and I was like, how did I get on the ground? That's weird. It must have been like shock, I guess. And my coaches were yelling at me, get up, get out, get your ass off the floor, get back in there. And I'm like, I keep trying and I keep falling. And I'm like, I don't know what's going on.
Oh.
It's painful. It's really painful.
It is. It's such a tiny thing, the meniscus is so tiny, but it just wrecks your whole body.
It does. See, people don't realize. That's why I'm like, well, at least we had Bring It On. Give us a little more respect.
I still think that movie's pretty funny. Like it's a good one.
It is. It's a classic. But I love that that you incorporated a little cheer in there, and that who knows, I know that Zach mentioned something about it for college. So
right, I'm toying. I'm like, should Marnie be in cheerleading? I don't know. It might be interesting. Especially he can see Zach with all the other cheerleaders. Yeah. Not that he would like do any, or maybe he would. I don't know. But I'm just saying, like, it would be interesting to see her there at the games and see him interacting. Because they're in college now, and like when even just any normal friendship, when you get older, you get out of high school, you get in college, people just drift apart naturally. It's just part of growing up. So I kind of want to explore that. Like, what's it going to be like? Is Miranda going to drift apart from them? Is it going to be hard for Creed because Creed is in a different dorm in a room by himself? So like where Marnie could go and spend time in the other boys' rooms or have threesomes in their rooms, like Creed is in a room with a stranger. So I mean, how's that going to play out? That was
with a hot
purposeful, I was if I assigned him to a different dorm, what would happen? I don't know.
Yeah.
Poor Creed. He just wants to be loved. I just feel like he's like, I always feel like poor baby Creed. Like he just wants to be loved so much.
He's like the meanest one. Like I had my partner make me like a book Bible, so it's like all of the important, physical characteristics, the major events, so I could have it all written down and access it. And she had written all these mean, horrible comments the boys had said to Marnie, but she forgot to write who said them. And I was like, well, who said this? Who said this? Who said this? She's like, I think that was Tristan. Look it up. It was Creed. All of the meanest things were Creed every time. Like one of them was something like even whores have their purpose. And I was like, that's gotta be Tristan. No, that was Creed. Creed said that. So kind of a snarky dick. Like
he is, and that's what it's like, because even in orientation, what I've read so far, he'll say something to her that's either hurt her feelings somehow, and then he'll kiss her and she'll like forget about it, And I'm like, I almost need her to I'm like, blow up on them. Like, it's okay to like, that's part of a relationship, is going through that first fight, right? Like where you're like, and see how you work out those issues, you know? So I know I'm still early in it. So like Megan's just staring at me. So I don't know what that means.
I know, I was going to say like, are you guys mad at Windsor? But I don't want to give anything away. So like, I don't know.
I can say about how I feel about Windsor, and that's, I understand. I'm not mad at Tristan or Windsor. I get,
what does
especially Tristan. Sorry, I'm not giving too much away.
No. What? My heart rate just spiked, Megan. What happened?
Nothing. It's okay. It's okay.
I feel I'm gonna like cry. What does Tristan do?
Nothing terrible.
Well, it's not like super terrible.
No, it's just like, I don't think Tristan knows any other way.
Yeah.
Like, it just makes it makes sense. And then
we're scaring it. This is not helping her.
It's
not. I'm not. Okay, is this like
it's okay.
Does he cheat, or does he go back to Lizzie?
No. I don't like cheating. I'm not I don't think I could ever write. I don't know if that counts as a spoiler, but I don't think I could ever.
But he sleeps. That's his what Megan, just tell me.
He doesn't sleep with what do you mean?
Okay.
He doesn't cheat. He doesn't sleep with anybody. Okay. No.
Yeah. He didn't do it with Lizzie. Remember?
I know. I was very she got a voice message while I'm rereading, and I'm like, I don't trust this Lizzie person. I don't like her, and I don't remember what happened the first time I read this, but I really don't trust her. And then I think I ended up texting you, and I'm like, yeah, now I know why I don't like her.
Yeah. I was very back and forth with Lizzie, you know. Good job on that. Because there's like, do we like
maybe she'll be in Bornstead U. I don't know.
No.
Maybe Harper will be in Bornstead U. I don't know. I mean, I want people to be able to read Bornstead U and not have read Filthy Rich Boys or Orientation. Okay. So I'm gonna write it like it's a new series, kind of. Okay. So that's why Orientation is the way it is. Like it didn't want too much to happen in Orientation, so that people who had not read it and they get into Bornstead U and they're like, whoa, what's going on? You know, I didn't want to open like a huge plot. So I didn't want it to be like continuous. I wanted to start fresh with Bornstead U.
I think you did a good job with that for sure. And again, that's kind of a callback to characters not getting over stuff. I love that Marnie doesn't get over her dad. She's mourning the whole book, and I'm like, finally, you know, a book where someone passes away and they're not just like, again, glossing over it, or she's like constantly always feeling it. And same with Groupie. I think you do such a great job with grief and loss, and that, I don't know, you kind of go into my soul a little bit and, you know, touch on that feeling that I have, and you know, you can relate to it. It's cathartic.
Yeah, it's like I told you before we got on here, I watched that K-drama with a really sad ending, and it's hard to watch sometimes that grief, but then after that pain fades away, I feel a little bit better. So I try to do that in my work too. Like, and some people too, when you're reading, it's hard to remember, like it feels like a whole long book for you, but Orientation, it only takes place over 2 weeks, and Marnie's dad only died like 2 months ago. So like this brand new, so it seems like, well, shouldn't she be over this already? Nope.
Well, and a daughter to lose her father, especially a father like Charlie,
her main parent.
For that's something she's going to be dealing with for the rest of her life, you know, like every milestone she's going to be missing him. So
exactly.
Megan. So that was one thing I want to bring up, is that you're really good with your angst and your emotions, and like especially I feel like the teenager angst, like I can just relive like my teenage years and those feelings and stuff. Like, is there something that helps bring those up for you? Like, and you could tell me to, like, you don't have to, like, if it's personal, but like, is there like a TV show that you like, you know, that helps bring it up, like if you're, or a song that like you're like, okay, this like kind of brings me back to that time where I get that angst, that like helps you write it? Or is it just like natural for you to like get that out there?
I don't know. Like, so I like to write teenagers, because if I'm reading a 45-year-old woman who's making these mistakes, I'm kind of like, girl, you should have your stuff together by now. Like, what are you doing? But like teenagers, it's like very forgivable for them to make these mistakes, and everything is so dramatic and everything feels so emotional. So that's what interests me there. I don't know, like I feel like I've been writing high school students since high school. So I guess I don't know, I've never gotten out of that. And then having like my younger brother, he just graduated. So just talking with him, hanging out with him, like this whole week spending with my partner's sister, they're like, you know, in their very early 20s. So I get like a glimpse back into that, you know, having passed the 30 threshold. It's nice to just talk it out and just see like, what's the slang? What are you interested in? How do you like, what do you think about? What are you referring to? Like they had this whole conversation with us this week over these websites where you can pay people to do your college work for you. You can pay people to write your master's thesis for you. And so it's like, oh, okay, like that's something I could use, you know, in Bornstead U. I put that in there somehow. And even like one of the websites, apparently people were signing up and getting their work done, and then the website itself was turning people into their universities and like ratting them out, like, hey, these students, they're cheating and people are getting kicked out. And so that's interesting to me. I wasn't aware of that because I'm not in college.
Right.
I guess talking to people who are that age.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I can't explain it.
I'm very fascinated by the web, like you're like narking on their own clients.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, really? Dang.
Like, why would they do that?
That's
money.
Yeah.
Just got their money and then like, hey, I don't know. That seems like something that we would read in a book, like even kind of thing. Yeah.
So you find inspiration everywhere, it sounds like, all over.
I do. It's like sometimes it can be annoying because like, oh my God, this idea, this is amazing. And then it like consumes you, but you're like, no, I've got other things like on the docket that I need to be working on. But like I tell people a lot this story just because it's interesting to me too. It's like Devil's Day Party, the standalone. It was there was this meme that was viral, and it was an Aston Martin with a pink car crashed into the side of it. And the meme said, you know, $300,000 car destroyed by $800 car. And someone was like, well, that's an aesthetic. And I was like, that's a whole book right there. So that's where like the Aston Martin, her crashing the car into the Aston Martin was from a meme. And I had known that I wanted to do, I was like, I want to do another Bowley. And I also want to do a time loop. And I was like, how about I combine the meme and the Bowley and the time loop? And well, we just came back from that Arkansas trip and I really loved it there. So let's set it in Arkansas. Yeah. And that's how that's just where that one came and just flowed from that point.
Devil's Day was so good because for a standalone, our age, to get that whole relationship too. And you would think like a day, the same day we lived, but the journey we go on, because you're right. I think you even say this in the beginning of the book. Oh, maybe it was a different book. I just feel like Karma is a brat at the beginning of it. And you're just like, girl, but I mean, she's a teenager. So she's like the normal teenage bratty kid. But then by the end of it, you're like, you love Karma. You love the journey. You love who she turns out to be after that, reliving that day over and over again. Yeah. And it's like almost the same thing with Chuck. You know, at first, like Chuck's, you know, not nice to the guys. And she's like with her father, you're like, come on. And then even Dakota a little bit, you know, it's like, calm down a little bit, but then you're like, she's a teenager, so it's just so good. But Devil's Day, oh gosh, I love Devil's Day so.
Yeah, because like, how are you?
Sorry, we did our episode already on it, so we're not gonna
but it is like, how are you gonna like in a time loop on the same day? How are you gonna make them fall in love? And it just worked, and it's emotional.
I was like, these guys have to be on the threshold, right? They have to be like about to like break, or this isn't gonna work. So it's like that easy to break them every day because they were right there on the edge. Like I couldn't start her with a brand new guy that she met that day. That obviously wouldn't work. I was like, it has to be somebody that's this close. So I really enjoy that's one of my favorite books. I will pick it up and read, especially the scene where Calix and her go to the Crescent Hotel together, and he asked her to marry him and run away with him. I'm like, Calix is my favorite in that one. not gonna lie about that either. I have favorites. That's what the editor is for. They go, hey, it's really obvious this guy's your favorite. You need to pull back, and you need to.
Yeah. You don't need to pull back. I say keep going with your favorite. Not at all because they end up being mine. I think you should keep, follow the muse.
It's true. Megan's in line with all of yours.
See, we were in sync. We've got like an energy field going on here.
I like it.
So if you were to make your own like harem then of your characters, like of 5 or 6 of them, like who would it be?
Oh my God. That's a really good question. Probably Victor, probably Tristan, Calix. Wow, Calix and Tristan would be like a bad, that would, with Vic, the idea, okay, I'm saying this, but this is theoretically that they're all going to get along because this sounds horrible. Like this,
right?
Like all the outfits.
Probably Bones. The King, Brennan Red from Allison. Oh, God. Maybe Ranger.
Really? Ranger?
Yeah, I think. I mean, you could ask me any day of the week and I probably have a different answer for you, but that's the answer for right now. Yeah, and it's, I am rereading Allison, so I've got like the King. I just met the King and I'm like, oh, I forgot how much I liked him.
He's on the brain.
Yeah, and it's always the meanest, rudest one is my favorite.
Oh, right. There's something about them. There's just, well, it's like Sarah always says, you have to earn it with them.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I like about it.
I love the whole like burn the world down when they get to that point too, where they're like, this is my girl.
Yeah. I like when they're rude to like everybody and then they stop being rude to her. So it's like she's different. Like she broke through your boundaries. She's like special. That's what I like.
But they're still rude to everybody else. Like I'm so excited for Tristan to be fully, well, and he has been, but fully on, on Marnie's side, and just like I just feel like I can't wait because I'm so excited for Bornstead. What? That's not
so nervous.
That's not
no, but you say these little hints. She does this. She'll say these little hints, and then it triggers something, and then like I'll read something, and I'll be like, oh. Like,
but I'll also lie to you. I'll also lie to you to misdirect you.
Yeah, but I can usually tell when you're lying.
No, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I do that. I will do that to my wife. I'll be like, I think Max needs to die in this scene. And she'll be like, no. And I'm like, yeah, I think I'm gonna kill him off. She gets really mad. Like she does not find that amusing. Not at all.
I love Max.
I like see, I'm not, I mean, I know what's going on, so like I still love him, but
do I not love, I'm not caught up.
There's one thing, Sarah, that's the one thing Sarah has not finished. She's not finished that. So Sarah, can you close your ears for a minute? Because I have a question.
No, I want to hear it. Go ahead. It's okay. I'm okay. I want to hear it.
Was that always planned with Max? Was that planned from the beginning, or did that just kind of come up?
That was planned.
Ooh. How scared should we be for book 4?
I don't know. I do like a happy ending, so there's that, right? It's gonna be reverse harem, so she'll have 3 love interests. Is Max one of them? I don't know. But
fair. Well, hey, there's lots of versions of happy endings too,
Right? You never know. A new guy can make an appearance. I mean, you met Rome in orientation, right? You met Rome.
Not yet.
Yeah, I was wondering about that. I was like, wait a second.
I don't know what's gonna happen with him. I'm just saying. He's there. He's a cutie.
So, okay, since you're doing all this to me and I'm all anxious now, when no stress at all, I don't want to stress anybody out, but like, so what's our time frame for like getting like the first book of Bornstead?
I definitely have to finish the last book in Lost Daughter of a Serial Killer. I'm gonna finish the last book in Scarlet Force. I'm going to do Kings of Underland since that's already on pre-order, which I'm not going to list anything else for pre-order. It's just that ticking clock. They literally give you a ticking clock on your dashboard, right? With seconds all the way down to the second of when it's due. And when I see that, it just paralyzes me in like fear. So we're not going to do any more pre-orders at all. Can't do it. But Kings of Underland, Lost Daughter of a Serial Killer, Scarlet Force, and I'd like to finish Gray's trilogy. even though that one's like not super popular, but I would like to finish that too before I do Bornstead. So it just depends on how quickly I can write. Like I have burned myself out in the past writing too much and like hit this wall where you're just like, I don't care what happens. I would rather do anything else but this. I can't handle it anymore. And you just have to walk away. And I don't want to push myself to that level, but
no, and we don't want that. And that's why I'm always like, do you, like when authors are like, I need a little more time, like, yes, I'd rather you give the book what it needs and take a break, take care of yourself, you know. I just Megan and you are making me really nervous.
No, we're just
I love I have a lot of catching up to do on Scarlett and Dakota's story, and then you want me to read Gray's story.
Yes,
so I have a lot to do still. So
I love it so much, and I really think that it would like be so huge on Book Talk because it's like the ultimate. He's the ultimate dom. He's just like I sometimes I'll be honest, I get a little desensitized to some spice because I just read a lot of spice. And sometimes I'll be like, you know what, I'm kind of ready to get back to the plot. Not with this book. This took me on it. I was like, oh my gosh, for all of it. It took me on a ride, and new things I like. And I just felt like he was almost like the main, it's like they're both the main harem, like not to say that, you know what I mean, like
it's like Gray's harem almost, like it is,
and I love that. I love it. And you made me like one of the characters that I did not go into it liking. I was like, he's a brat. Yes, I'm like, oh, he's a brat, and then by the end I'm like, I love him, I love their dynamic. Like, how did you do this? I'm like, you're a mastermind.
I really enjoyed that. I had the most fun writing that book out of like anything in the last year. I really like wrote it very quickly, and it's like 100, I don't know, it's over 100,000 words. It's like 114 or something. But I wrote it in like a week because I could not stop thinking about it. I would like be laying in bed and I'd be like just going through it. I'm like, I gotta just write. I have to write this down right now. I gotta get it out. And I really enjoyed that. I should have been, I did put trigger warnings, but I guess people didn't know it was going to have male in it. So people were a little upset that it has male in it, but.
Which is very strange because I know that first of all, I saw the second cover, I think before the first cover, before the first book even came out, which I love the covers. Your wife does an amazing job. Covers, like amazing. And then it says it like very clearly on there, but I guess people don't read the blurbs or the beginning, unfortunately. But I love it. I just can't tell you how much I love the dynamic and how he's just the dom of all of them, and it's just brilliant. And
maybe I just need to get more into TikTok because I'm not TikTok's
hard.
TikTok is hard, but I do feel like that's one of the ones that people would be like, they'd be like, what is this? Oh my God, I just feel like that could explode. It just, it really took me back. I was like, this is some great spice and a great story, and I'm excited for more. So I'm so excited that you're gonna keep going with Gray. And I loved him in the Death by Daybreak too. So it's great.
I was interesting. I was like, how is he gonna be? Because it's 7 years after the end of the last one, something like that. But I was like, he's lonely. I want to see what he's going to be like after being a full mafia don for 7 years. Like that's some shit. So he's not going to be the same guy that he was before, but I feel like there's still a thread of him on the inside, and we got to see his lovers like pull that out of him, like the boy that he used to be.
I love that. And I love his little plan, that kind of parts of it that get revealed to us.
Yeah,
I think
it's are really fun. I enjoyed that book a lot, really did.
So good. Sorry.
No, you're fine.
I'm passionate about it. It seriously lived rent free in my head for like weeks after. I kept rereading certain scenes. I was like, I can't stop. Oh, so good. Well, that's what's so hard. You have so many really great theories. It's like, how do you choose what to write next? I can't imagine.
So that's like, do you bounce around to like, I'm feeling like writing this story today, or do you try to structure yourself and be like, I'm writing this and then I'm writing this? Like, I think I would be very much, I'm waking up and this person's speaking to me, so that's what I'm writing. Like,
when I have a deadline, I have to just focus, which I don't like as much, because sometimes you're just not feeling it. You just don't, and I don't want to like force anything. Yeah. But I guess it's like, if you write a really silly, like Elements of Mischief, right, is ridiculous. So you write this ridiculous stuff, and it's almost like it bleeds that ridiculousness out of you, and there's a lot of serious left over. So you want to put that into something. So it's not necessarily a bad idea to have multiple things going at once, just because you're like, I am feeling pissed off today, I need to work on Scarlet Forest, you know. Okay. But usually I try to stick to one book at a time, because then otherwise I will like half write something and like leave it. So like the third book to Spirited is like 65,000 words. Like, it's just right there. I could sit down and finish that in a short period of time. I just need to, that's my biggest issue, is I get too excited. There's like all of the glittery things and I want to go chasing them. And so I really got to focus. I'm like, I would love to just write a series from start to finish in one go. Cause every time you take a break, you got to reread all of the previous books. And so that takes a lot of time. Yeah. I'm trying to reform myself. I've been trying for years, and I'm just all over the place. Just like I always tell people, artsy fartsy is like the perfect description for me. Like, just
it works though. It works. All your books are amazing though. So you must be doing something right. Following the muse, I think it works, because like, again, like, top, just amazing. Such amazing stories and characters. I mean,
exactly. And it's made it hard for me to read other stories. I mean, there's great authors out. There's so many great authors, but like, there's other times where I read something, I'm like, it could have just like, like just a little more, or triple the size of this.
Yeah.
Well, I love that, there's some nostalgia thrown into your books too. Like, I can tell we're of the same generation by like just references,
yeah,
which I really enjoy.
Yeah,
I definitely like Havoc. I think Scarlet, like, I thought, well, Scarlet and Havoc, you can kind of throw back even to the 50s, which I like. The drive-ins and stuff.
Yeah, I wanted to do on those, both of them, like you said, like the 50s style, or even like the 20s in Scarlet. I'm like, the look of the covers was like, we got inspiration from like 1920s like movie posters and stuff, and the speakeasy that they go to in the old theater, what was it, like devil music hall or something, that and then I also wanted to do 90s and early 2000s vibes. So it's like, that's why they have old textbooks. They don't have like iPads or anything like, so but I was trying to make the year ambiguous. I don't want to date it too much. And so I don't want people to read it in 10 years and be like, well, you can tell when this was written, you know what I mean? So
yeah, I like that. And especially considering it comes before Havoc, it's kind of cool that it's not dated too, in that sense. But I love that Alexi has to wear all those like band shirts.
Right?
Like, I'm like, this is the best. I'm like, all these callbacks.
I mean, I may have worn all of those things and like listen to that music. Like My Chemical Romance was my jam.
Yeah, mine too.
So putting in there, but it's like it's weird to write it and be like, ew, that's like something my parents would have worn as a teenager. I'm like, what if I just wrote that? But okay.
And Chuck being like, okay, boomer. I'm like, oh, at least I'm not a boomer. I cringe for the day that they're like, okay, millennial. I'm like, no.
Oh no, I didn't even think about that. You're right. One day we'll be like the old people.
No, we'll be the cool old people.
Well, I'm like, how does that work when you like, I cuss like every other word in my daily life. So like when I'm 90, am I going to be like still cussing every other, like, because you think of old people now and you're like, very prim, proper, pearl clutchy, but like we're gonna be an interesting group of old people for sure.
There's gonna be a new definition of what old people are. It's gonna be like, oh, all these like old
They're
dirty.
feisty. Holy crap.
Yeah, I'm hoping we're feisty and a little bit scary. Like, don't piss off grandma. Like,
Yeah.
you know?
Like grandma has some stories.
Yeah.
Exactly.
All kinds of stories. Yeah. Oh my goodness. I love it. In your books, not only are like the characters really defined in like their wording, like you can hear someone say something and you're like, oh, that's so and so, right? Or, you know, like, but you also have scents for all of them.
Yeah.
How do you come up with those?
Sometimes it's candles. So like I'll order like a bunch of candles on Etsy and just smell them all. Be like, okay, this one, like candles, big time.
Okay.
Wow.
Sometimes it's fragrances, like mints, like cologne or whatever. I'll be like, you know, try to like one that the branding matches the characters, but like, this is suave and dangerous. And I'm like, okay, this is leather and musk and patchouli with a hint of, you know, citrus oil.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'm like, what is this? Like, what is this smell even? So I'll have to go and find it. Cause I'm like, I don't know what this smells like. I think it was like hyssop. I might be pronouncing that wrong. HYSSOP. It's a flower, but I was like, people were like, oh, you know, it smells like this and that. And I was like, this would be great for Spencer, but I had to go and find it and smell it first because I didn't know what it was. I'd never heard of it before.
Right. Yeah, I felt like there was who had a interesting combination. It was peppermint and something in Burberry, and I forgot who it was.
Yeah, I'm blanking.
Was it Tristan's or was it Zayd? I don't know, but there's been some interesting combos that I'm like, okay, because I have essential oils. Yeah. And so I actually been making character ones and like sending.
Oh, that's great. I love it.
And so I've been like, I was like, I need to dig these out because I'm like, I can't quite get this scent in my, because a lot of times I can get the scent in my head reading it. And then this one, I'm like, I'll have to look it up. But there's been a couple. So I was like, I found it because not everyone does that. And so it's like, I like that it's, you know, usually the female can be like, oh, I can smell. So
yeah, it's like, you know, they say that scent is the most strongly tied to memory. And so, and it's kind of like when you go into a coffee shop, you know, and that smell hits you and it's like, you can think of like early mornings before school or like, you know, the gray light on a winter morning or like, oh, this time I had a field trip in high school and I went to Starbucks and it just, all those things hit you all at once. So I really like to tie the scent in there. I don't know. It's powerful and it's underutilized, I think, especially in reading, you know?
Yeah, no, I agree. My grandfather had smoked a tobacco pipe, like with fresh tobacco or dried, whatever. But it's like, it's had that sweet tobacco smell and his truck smelled like it too. So it's like, there's a neighbor down the street and now then he smokes the same thing. And if I walk the dog at the right time of day, I could smell it. And like all of a sudden it's like calm. And I'm like, oh, grandpa, you know? So yeah.
I'm the same. Like my grandma, unfortunately, she smoked and she did get lung cancer and passed from that. So that's awful. But when I smell cigarette smoke, I think about her like every time. It triggers it. So,
and like probably the same brand too.
Yeah.
You know, because they're all distinct. Yeah.
I can tell if a room's been smoked in because it reminds me of my mom. Like, so like of my childhood.
Yeah.
Like different times. I'm like, oh yeah, no, this was definitely used to not be a non-smoking room.
Yeah, right.
Yes. Yeah. I'm like, there's smoke in these walls. This smells like my old house.
The car we rented in Boston, like I got in it, was like, oh, somebody smoked in this for sure. Like you can definitely tell it sticks. I don't think smokers realize, but it sticks.
Yeah. The last question was, again, well, it's another, how nervous should we be with Bornstead? Well, with the ending, again, Sarah, this isn't like a spoiler or anything, but I'm just wondering with Tristan, I'm just wondering how much, I don't know, angst are we going to be put through when it comes to someone like, I don't know, Tristan, I don't know, maybe Tristan and Creed, I don't know, like, anything to say about any of those people, maybe together, apart, I don't know.
It'll end as an RH.
Okay.
So there's that, right? Like I'm going to guarantee it's going to end as an RH.
Okay.
Anything else? I don't know. I mean, you just gotta trust. You gotta be like, okay, this is a CM Stunich book. Like I know, it's gonna be everything's gonna be okay, right? Like everything's gonna be okay. I might put you through some shit, but we'll get there, right?
Okay. We will get there. I wasn't hinting at wondering about any characters in particular.
Sure.
Like if Tristan and Creed had like a boys' love moment, something like that was like your question, maybe.
Maybe, I don't know.
I mean, I guess we'll see, right?
We'll see. All right, I think I've poked enough at what I can get out of these when it comes to the answers. Thank you for indulging.
Yes, thank you.
No problem. And if you come up with anything else, just send me a message.
Thank you. I definitely will, like 100%.
Good. Oh, I will look forward to it.
Thank you, CM, for chatting with us. And thank you everyone for listening, and we'll see you next time on the Bookover. Bye.
Thanks. Bye everyone.